the ETF.com video series. We're here at Inside ETFs Florida. My name is Cynthia Murphy, and I'm here with Bill Belden, Head of ETF Business Development at Guggenheim Investments. Thanks for joining me today,
Great
Bill.
Great to be with you, Cynthia.
I want to talk about the deal coming up with PowerShares. The deal should close in the first quarter. If you are an advisor or an investor who's been loyal to the Guggenheim brand from the beginning, what does that mean to you?
I think that when you look at the deal and PowerShares Acquisition, you can feel confident in their ability to continue to deliver upon the value that Guggenheim has provided as the owner of Guggenheim ETFs since we got into the business back in 2000 and actually originally in 2003, but within the Guggenheim brand 2011. I think that the proposal that's currently out in proxy evidences that the transition from the before under Guggenheim to the after under PowerShares will be relatively seamless, and we certainly are aiming to make it as minimally disruptive to investors as we possibly can. So if you look at the similarities with their current ETF, the objective, the index that the product's tracking, the fees that clients will be paying are all established in the same way as they currently are. And so again, I think that investors can look to that to be, certainly we're pursuing making it as minimally disruptive as possible.
Now Guggenheim has several iconic brands, if you will, currency shares, bullet shares, Pure Style. Pure Style is perhaps the most underrated of them. Do you think that suite will continue to grow in this type of bull market?
Yeah, certainly. We, the Pure Style suite has been one that we've had a lot of success with, but frankly view that to have significant upside going forward. And just to revisit what Pure Style really emphasizes and how it's unique is that it really takes the traditional way of approaching style and gets much more precise or focused, hence the name Pure Style, right? And so we basically start with the S&P 500 or the parent indexes and remove what the muddle in the middle per se, or those names that perhaps share growth and value characteristics but don't really emphasize one or the other, and we take those out of the equation. So what you're left with is an ETF that's really focused on the most value-y or the most growthy, to use those terms, exposures. And the S&P index that we track, which we started tracking back in 2006, has really delivered a lot of value to clients. In fact, using that value term, if you look at since the bull market began back in 2009, the value side of the Pure Style suite has delivered 3 of the highest 10 returning ETFs in the marketplace over that time.
Wow.
Yes.
So how does it, for people who don't know what the Pure Style suite is, ETFs like RZV, I'm trying to remember the tickers. RPV.
RPV is the S&P 500, RFG is the S&P 400, and RZV is the 600.
How do they compare to other value growth ETFs in the market?
Right, so the index methodology that underlies the indexes that the ETFs track really look at 3 value components in contrast to single value components that traditional style ETFs endorse. And so you really do get the strength of that value at that level. And then beyond that, the actual weighting of the names that make it into that screen are driven by how high the value or the style score actually is, as opposed to traditional style, which has a market cap weighting element to it. And so you could have the smallest name in the S&P 500, if it delivered the most value characteristics, be the highest weighted name in the Pure Style ETF, RPV, in contrast to, again, traditional style, which really uses a market weighting approach to delivering value. And so you really find 2 strong distinctions there that reinforce the purity element of Pure Style ETFs. And we're using value as an example, of course, but the same exists on the growth side too.
Now, when I think of Guggenheim, the first thing that comes to my mind every time is pioneer in equal weighting S&P 500.
Right.
Now, you've been in this with Guggenheim really since day one, when they really entered the ETF space meaningfully. When you think, post PowerShares deal, what do you think people look back and think of as Guggenheim's legacy in the ETF space?
Yeah, so really Guggenheim got into the ETF space based upon some predecessor organizations. We came out to the market as Guggenheim Investments back in September of 2011, and we've really grown that business. At that time, we were about $12 billion in assets under management, and we've just passed $40 billion in assets under management. So it's certainly been a really good run for us, and I think if investors look back on what we've been able to provide them with over that time, they see a history of innovation, they see a history of strength and performance, they see a great strength in terms of the value that they've been able to derive from the methodologies that underlie the Guggenheim ETFs. And certainly Guggenheim's core competency as an asset manager has been on an active fixed income. And really we've had some really great active fixed income strategies that investors who have participated in those products have been rewarded in. So I think the Guggenheim brand has really helped those funds over the course of the time that we've been in the business. But I think that looking back at history of innovation and success and integrity in delivering that value to clients is something that we're proud of.
Okay. They will also, they will see RSP. That's what I'll see forever.
Yeah, right.
Thank you so much, Bill. Thanks for joining us today. Again, my name is Cynthia Murphy with Bill Belden. For more videos, please check ETF.com.